Okay, guys, today we're going to do a little bit of current events. I'm going to show you a news clip that summarizes the bill that just passed through the Senate, the coronavirus relief package. It passed with a vote of 96 to 0, which is unanimous support. A couple of senators were unable to vote due to being quarantined. So the news clip I'm going to show you is going to summarize what that bill is actually trying to do, who it's going to help, who's going to receive money from it, and what it's going to try to do to make our situation better. After the news clip, we will work on Chapter 14 study guide. It's the one we worked on the other day. I'm going to give you a few more answers so you can finish it up. And then we will work on the last worksheet that says Chapter 14 test A and B. We'll do a couple of the multiple choice questions on both sides. Then you guys should be able to finish up the rest of it on your own. Stay healthy.
Late last night, the Senate did unanimously approve an historic $2 trillion relief bill meant to ease the economic pain of the coronavirus. It offers hundreds of billions of dollars to big companies and small businesses, along with cash payments to many Americans. Nancy Cordes is on Capitol Hill. Nancy, what's next?
Well, next, this goes to the House, and senators tell us that once it passes there, some of this money could be put to work right away, especially those loans to small businesses that convert to grants. Banks that are already set up to do this, we're told, could turn that money around within 36 hours. Unemployment insurance for the likely millions of people who are being laid off should go up by $600 a week by next week. And those cash payments you mentioned, Anthony, $1,200 for a lot of individuals, more for families. That money could be directly deposited into your account within the next 3 weeks or so. Now, if the IRS doesn't have your account information on file, it could take longer, up to 4 months, for them to mail you a paper check. Now, leaders are hoping that the bill's overwhelming victory in the Senate overnight, a 96 to 0 vote, will pave the way for smooth passage in the House tomorrow. Leaders there are hoping to pass the bill using something called a voice vote, which would enable most members of the House to stay home, to not travel to Washington. They would need unanimous agreement to let that happen. Right now, they have their fingers crossed. Gail?
Yeah, fingers, toes, eyes, everything crossed. Thank you very much, Nancy.
Okay, guys, let's take a second look at Chapter 14 study guide. I'm going to give you a few more answers. Let's go down to this word, prosecute. Prosecute means to press charges. So that means if someone is accusing you of a crime, the prosecutor's job is to prove that you did it. So prosecute is to accuse and press charges against somebody. Let's look at this one too, the assessor. The word assess means to evaluate. So the assessor's job, they work with the local government. Their job is to look at your property and determine your tax value and determine how much you have to pay in taxes. So we'll say their job is to evaluate property value. And let's go down to the bottom of the page. This one I told you could find on 178. Which group of people makes decisions and laws about the county? That group is called the county board. Let's take a look at the second page. This question, what is the difference between the weak mayor and a strong mayor plan? It was on 180, and I'll give you a little bit of help on it. With a weak mayor plan, they have no real authority. The city council has more authority. So we'll say the city council holds the power. So the mayor is really just there for ceremonial reasons. They're there when they open a brand new building, a brand new restaurant, they cut the ribbon. Sometimes there will be a city manager there, and they actually have the authority. But with the weak mayor plan, the mayor has no real power. In a strong mayor plan, it's the opposite. The mayor is the chief executive. He can hire people, he can fire people, he can come up with a budget, he can veto laws. So we will say he really is the chief executive. And we'll do one more question together. What is the difference between a city manager and a mayor? Both of them are the chief executive for the local government, but the difference is how they get their job. Usually city managers are hired, and a mayor is elected. Okay, so I walked you guys through a little bit less than half of these. You should be able to finish it out. If you have any specific questions, comment on the video or send me an email and I'll try to help you fill out what you're missing. Okay, let's take a look at the side that says Chapter 14, Test A. In the late 1970s, voters in the state of California led a taxpayer revolt. They used an initiative. And remember, initiatives are the ways that regular people can get laws passed. Their initiative wanted to reduce property taxes. So they want to lower the amount of taxes they're paying on their homes. Property taxes are based on the amount of land or the type of property you own. The county assessor determines how much property tax you have to pay. So if you own a ton of land, huge property, acres and acres and acres, you're going to pay more in taxes. The local governments were using the property taxes to pay for education and community services. Before this initiative, local governments in California paid half of the cost of education. The other half was paid for by the state and federal government. After this initiative was passed, the state had to look for other ways to finance the schools because they were not getting nearly as much property tax money. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these questions. Let's go to number 1. Which of the following most likely occurred? So if they lower the taxes, and that means the government has less money to pay for things, which one of these is most likely to happen? It's not going to be 3. City governments have more money to spend. If the taxes go down, they're going to have less money to spend. It's not going to be 1. The schools received more money because they cut the money they were giving them. What's most likely going to happen? Some of these schools are going to be forced to close. Let's take a look at number 2. What is the official who determines the property taxes called? Think back to the vocabulary at the beginning of the chapter. That person is called the county assessor. And we'll do one more. What was the state and federal money used for? So the local taxes were paying for half of it, and the state and federal money was paying for the other half of the education fund. Let's take a look at Chapter 14, Test B. We'll do 3 of these ones. The work of running the county takes place in a town or a city called it is called the county seat. Let's do number 2. Which of the following would you expect to find leading a city council meeting? So who is the chief executive of the local government? That person is most likely going to be the mayor. Now, every city is different, but most of the time the mayor leads the city council meetings. And let's go over to the other side, question number 9. The city manager. They are similar to the mayor, but let's take a look at the choices. Is only a ceremonial person. So that means they're just there for show. That's not the city manager, because city manager is hired to do a job. So the city manager is going to be hired by the city council to be the chief executive. And their job is to run the city efficiently, come up with a budget, hire and fire people. Basically, They have similar responsibilities to the mayor, but the main difference is how they get their jobs.